Okay, so fill in the blanks for the diagram below. So E to F, that'll be your transversal. Sometimes you have a little segment on top. It's not crucial. What are my interior angles? It would be all the ones that are inside the two parallel lines. So C, D, E, F. Okay. Exterior angles A, B, H, G. Sets of corresponding angles. Here you have to be careful, right? A corresponds to E. So A and E, D and H, as C and G, and B and F. So forth. Alternate exterior A and G, right? And B and H. And interior would be CE and DF. There's that. And here come this is the meat and potatoes of today's review that I want you to make sure you understand. Oh, did I? Yes. Interior is, yes. Sorry about that. Did I make you erase, Ralph? I apologize. How's that for a quick fix? Or arrows will do. My bad. Okay. So now these are going to be frustrating to some of you, and they're going to get more complicated. We're going to combine all of those properties, like we're going to combine parallel lines with triangles and so forth. Okay. One thing that I want you to remember, okay, you all know what a parallelogram is, right? Well, let's start with a rectangle. The definition of a rectangle is you have two sets of parallel lines, but this is the cool thing about if these two lines are parallel, if this is 90, we know this is 90, and combined, they add up to 180. We would consider these consecutive interior angles, right? If you have a parallelogram, it's just a slanted rectangle. If these two lines are parallel, these would still be considered consecutive interior, and they would also add up to 180. It's always going to be the case, right? So if you're ever like thinking like what would these two add up to, for example, right? Well, we know that they should always add up to 180 if they're between parallel lines. These are consecutive interior angles. Okay. All right. Some of these feel repetitive. I get it. But I still find that I'm going to walk you through it just for you to benefit, right? You might learn something along the way. Okay, which one do we start with? I'm right now, I'm going to start with C. This is just my way of doing things because I notice that C and 40 are along this straight line right here. So I'm going to actually go over it with a red just so that it sticks out, right? This is a straight line, so C, these two have to add up to 180. That's not even that's a property you should already know coming into this course, right? That's nothing new. But I'm going to start with C here, and I'm just going to say, and it's fairly simple to do, right? This has to be 140. C would have to be 140, and then you just say straight angle is equal to 180. That's it. That'd be your reasoning. Nothing fancy, no sentence, just like that. And my key will be different, most likely, because I woke up differently that day when I made the key. You know what I mean? Like it, and it's a bit of the beauty of this, but for some of you it's frustrating because you want to have the exact same thing, right? And so that's why I'm doing this without a key. And so I've figured out this, and you can feel free to fill that in here because it helps you, right? And then I'm going to go to B. So B is my second angle because I know that these two sides meet here along that point right there, and these are vertically opposite. So I'm going to say, hey, I know this. Vertically opposite to angle C, right? This is the best way to explain. If it has a letter, use a letter because then you can refer back to, oh, okay, it's vertically opposite to C. I go look at C and that was 140, and there it is, right? Which one do you want to do next? You could, I will find D here because, right, if these two are my parallel lines here, right, I can follow this transversal and I know something about these two inside the two parallel lines. They're consecutive interior, right? These two are consecutive interior. Yeah. Quadratics is going to come back pretty much every test up to the cumulative, the first cumulative. Yeah. And maybe even beyond. And the reason is that that's very important for grade 12 applied. So every once in a while, one of those four types will creep up. Yeah. So D, these are consecutive interior, but I also know that this one and this one are called what? Corresponding. So two ways to get there, folks. Anybody see a different one? I only see these two, right? So it's up to you. I'm going to do that as my third option, my third step, I should say. I'm going to say it's 40, and it's corresponding to 40. That's it. That's all I need to see. Okay. This corresponds to that. Or you could have said they're consecutive interior. So these two are supplementary. Okay. And last but not least, I'm going to do A. And there you should see a triangle, the big triangle out here. Okay. This might help or might not help. I'm not sure, but right, you have that big triangle along the outside. Okay, so now I'm using the triangle property because I know that this is 40 here, this corner. I have 2 out of the 3, right? So that's just 180 minus, minus 40, yeah, minus 110, right? And this adds up to 150, so it's 30 degrees up there. And then you just tell me sum of a triangle is 180. I have developed these shortcuts so you don't have to write a whole sentence and then I have to give you a lot of space, right? I don't need that. So you do the math and then just tell me the property that you're using and voila, you're done. So I will tell you this, you can often start, right? The best way to start is to use straight angles, right? Straight angles, vertically opposite, sum of triangles equal to 180. Like these are ones that are always true. There's no need for parallel lines to even exist to get you started on those. So this would be like your step 1. And then your step 2 would be to use corresponding, alternate, interior, exterior, and consecutive interior. That's my second step. I go there once I know more information. But I started with a straight angle here. And then it went over to the secondary layer, so to speak. but it's not always going to be there. Sometimes you can go straight to these ones, right? It's up to you. Are you going to post the answer key for page 5? Did I not? I'm just going to check which one, what does page 5 look like again. That one was posted, I thought at least. Oh no, it wasn't. Not as far as I can tell, not on. I will do that. I'm just checking one more thing. Yeah, somehow it didn't make it on there. Yeah. I will do that. Yeah. I just have to give myself a note here. Post key for page 5. Okay, let's go over to 7. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm going to do the last 2. So I'm going to focus on these last 2 because these are the trickier ones. Okay, there's lots going on here. So if you start here, I would always suggest you in your mind, or right, like you're like, okay, these are my parallel lines. That makes everything that connects them, these are your transversals. Okay, you can jump from one parallel to the other as you follow along a transversal. That's the key here. Okay, so highlighters are probably gonna be a big help here. So if I go along this parallel line and then, oh, there's my transversal, that allows me to travel to the other side, right? And you almost have like a backwards Z sometimes, right? And then you know that these two are going to be alternate interior in this case, okay? So that's going to be my game plan. I'm going to start with W. It's going to be my first step. I tried the triangle thing. Sum of triangle doesn't get you anywhere. A straight angle doesn't get you anywhere. Vertically opposite, you don't have anything to go by. So the first step, like the first ones that I gave you just now, they don't get you started. So you have to go to the secondary. So W is 32 and Y, right? Alternate interior angles are congruent. Like that's when you know that it's alternate interior with 32, you just say something like that maybe. Okay. Okay, I've done that. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's see with my other highlighter here. I'm thinking these are connected, right? So you travel along the parallel line, along the transversal, that helps you jump, right? And there is your set of alternate interior, and that's my second step here. So I'm going to say that it's 38 degrees. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Done. So I came up with that here. I came up with that here like that. Okay. Now I have, I'm probably going to work with this triangle here. I need more highlighters. Anyways, right, so this is my triangle here that I'm going to focus on. Okay. Because I know these two, I actually can put down 32 degrees here. I know 2 out of the 3. So X is going to be my third step. That's going to be 180 minus 38 minus 32. Okay, and that's 110. So this is 110, And I'm going to say that it's sum of triangle equaling 180 that I've used to get x. Z is going to be straight line, right? Straight angle. That's my fourth step. This is how I did it, okay? And so we'll just go 180 minus 110, and that is equal to 70. Straight angle is equal to 180. Boom. Done. Okay. So be creative, but also make sure it adds up, right? Like it makes sense, right? Like there should be no corresponding here because you're not even on the same side of the transversal, right? Like 32 and like it wouldn't work. So the thing is, some students write down 32 for W and they write down corresponding angles, so you'd get that part wrong because you're not justifying it correctly. Okay. Right, the last one there. Yikes, right? So how can I get started? I'm gonna try one of like, can I do maybe vertically opposite or something like that? Alternate interior with X, yes. All right, that's a good start. So these are I'm gonna highlight the parallel lines, right? And this is a transversal, so these are alternate interior, correct. So that's my first step. I'm gonna start with X, and I know that they're congruent, right? Alternate interior angles are congruent, like that. Perfect. I could do Y right next to it, right? So step 2, I'm just going to go 180 minus 110. That's 70 degrees. Straight angle is equal to 180. So that's 70 here. Boom. Is there anything I can do with the 30? If you're not sure, okay, follow it. Like follow that. You come right like this. You follow from this parallel line. You follow the transversal until you hit this other parallel line here. Okay. And you have to be careful because it also gets cut by another one going here. So you can't really use the alternate exterior, right? Like, and it's nothing else. Like there's no name for these ones here. Okay. But there's something I can do to help me out here. 30 and WR, they're corresponding. That's right. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say that's 30. Corresponding angles are congruent. There you go. So I went along the transversal until I hit the parallel line. So I do have a bit of a connection there, right? And now I need to find Z. How would I do that? So you can be creative here. I know that I know X, which is, I'm going to write this down. This is 110. I know that this and this, all these have to add up to 180. The W, right, this is vertically opposite here, so you can technically write 30 in here, right, vertically opposite to W. That's not part of this, right? Sorry, my bad, it wasn't on there. So the 30 here that I had here, I'm bringing that over to here. And so this is a straight line here, straight angle, so I know that all three angles here add up to 180. So I'm going to go 180 minus 110 minus 30, and that is 40. straight angle is equal to 180. So you have your 40 there. That's my last step. There are different ways. This would be another way, okay? I just don't have enough room, but this y here corresponds to this whole thing here, correct? So if I look at y, this is 70. This whole thing should be the exact same thing as this whole thing, right? They should both add up to 70. Since I have the 30 here, this must be 40, right? Because 40 and 30 add up to 70, which is also 70 here. So many ways to get there, definitely. And I'm very okay with you doing some work here and then just transferring it over to your work here. Just make it appear, be clear, arrows if you need to, right? Just pointing towards what it is that you're trying to find. Okay, that's it. That gets us to 7. And I'm going to give you some class time to do these questions, okay? So it's 128, almost 130. So I think if you can make it through the questions on page 16, I don't think you'll have time today to make it to 17 because I'm going to want to go over. So I'm going to assign some of 17 to you. So just do, I know you were having a blast working through this. I have to put a stop to that, right? You're not allowed to have fun in math. I'm just kidding. Determinative segment AB is parallel to CD. Show your work. So I'm telling you, kind of giving you a hint what you can use to justify it, right? So sometimes you will not have a name for the angles that you're given. For example, in this particular instance, right, we're asking, are these two parallel? Are we able to put that little arrow sign between? So the key is to first figure out, is there a name for them? Name the pair. That's important first. If you can't, right, if you can't, do some work. Okay. Do some work. So my game plan, it's up to you how you want to do this. Do you want to find this angle up here? Because I know that this one and this one are corresponding, correct? So I can easily find out that way. So if this angle ends up being 113, bingo, right? I know they're corresponding and they're congruent. I can confidently say that AB is parallel to CD. So I'm going to just put X down here, right? Angle X is going to be 180 minus 68, right? And that's 112 degrees, right? So this is my first step. My first step here towards justifying that is to find a little bit more, right? I found that this is 112. So I know that this is 112 degrees now. I look at them, I'm like, yeah, I know that they're corresponding, right? Angle X and 113 are corresponding angles. Okay, I've named them. Okay, rename them. And then since the angles are not congruent, AB is not parallel to CD. That's what you do. Okay, so we've done some work and we're like, aha, I know this pair, right? They're corresponding. So you've named them, but then you're disproving, right? You're saying, wait a minute, if these lines were indeed parallel, the corresponding angles would have to be exactly the same, and they're not. Therefore, you've concluded that they're not parallel. Let's move over to this side. kind of used up a lot of the space there. So sometimes you have to do a little bit of extra work to make that happen, okay? So A, B, and C, D are the lines parallel, okay? So what my game plan is going to be here is figure out, I see this triangle here, okay? So I'm going to figure out what this angle is, and I know that this whole thing, wait a minute, maybe there's an easier way to do this. Yeah, I'm going to say that this is 63 over here because it's vertically opposite to that, right? So angle ABD is equal to 63 degrees, vertically opposite. You cannot use vertically opposite to show whether or not lines are parallel, okay? It can just get you closer. So now we know that this is 63 degrees. And all of this and all of that, right? These two are considered consecutive interior. If I can show that they add up to 180, you have in fact proven that this line is parallel to that line. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is say that CDA, angle CDA, DA plus 94, right, plus the 63, wait a minute, no, I'm having an off day today. Is it Friday? No, it's Monday. Okay, so if I have this here, and this is 94, I'm going to figure out what this is, okay, using this triangle over here, because I can use these two that I already know to find that third. And if all of these three, right, like this one, and this one, if they all add up to 180, I can in fact state that AB is parallel to CD. And why is that? Well, this whole angle here and this whole angle there are called consecutive interior. And you're like, wait a minute, there's three angles, Mr. Dirksen. It's like, yeah, that's true. It just happens to be that this one in the base has been kind of cut into two smaller angles, but the fact still remains that this whole thing plus this whole thing will add up to 180. Okay, so my game plan here is to figure out this sliver. And so CDA is going to be 180 minus 100 minus 57, right? That's my game plan, and that is 23 degrees, right? So angle CDA is 23, and what did I use? I used sum of triangles equal to 180. That's what I've used to get there. So I now know that this is 23 degrees over here, right? And this is how I'm going to conclude my work here. Angle CDB plus angle DBA, right, are consecutive interior. Okay, so we can say that 23 plus 94 plus 63 that adds up to 180, right? 7, yeah. 180 degrees. Therefore, AB is parallel to CD. There we go. Okay. I will do this. CDB is this whole thing here. Okay, so this whole angle here. And DBA, this one here, is obviously this one, this whole angle there. So then you know that, right, these two are technically consecutive interior. Right? So you've named them, and how exactly you do this is not so important. What you need to know is that the angles that you're identifying, you name them, and you tell me, do they have to be congruent or supplementary, right? That's always the options you're going to have. Consecutive interior are going to be supplementary, and the other three are going to have to be congruent for you to be able to prove that they are. Okay. 9 minutes left. So let's try to get through this table here, and then I'll give you some homework to try, and we'll come back tomorrow, and I will probably throw a short AC at you, and there will be a mixture of what we've done today. Okay. Justifying as well as finding the angle measure and showing how you got there. And the 3-letter notation is absolutely brutal. I know it's complicated to figure it out. And if you want to do this, okay, if you want to put a little number and then put a number on the diagram to help you, by all means go ahead and do that. So for example, ACD, it's ACD. If you want to put a little 1 there to help you out, that's fine. Okay. Bad, right? BAD, they're asking for this one there. By all means, go ahead and do that. ADB, I need you to be able to read these angles, but I also want you to be able to not mix everything up, right? So ADF, ADF is this whole thing. We're going to worry about that later. Okay, that one we'll worry about later. DBA, DBA is right here. We're going to call that number 4. Okay. And so now you have at least 4 angles labeled on here, and so you're not panicking, right? Which one is which again, right? So I strongly encourage you to do that, but you need to know the 3-letter notation, okay? Again, we've got parallel lines. That's a good thing for us. I will try to find the first one. I know that this one here and 77 are corresponding. So I can put down that this is 77. Corresponding angles are congruent. And you're done with that one. So we know that this is 77 degrees. Okay. Bad, which is right here. You have a choice. If you follow, let me use my highlighter here. If you travel along this parallel line and then cross, see how you have that Z almost the backwards, or it's a Z nonetheless, right? They're alternate interior. So number 2 is 38. You can actually do one of these on the diagram if you want. Alternate interior, just to help you out in your notes. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay. There's another way you could have done this. Knowing that there's a straight line here, a straight angle, and that all angles along that straight line have to add up to 180. So you could have done that as well. Okay. ADB, which is 3, is this one right here. You can, I'm trying to figure out what's the easiest way for you to do. Do not jump this way, okay? These are not parallel, you can't do that. You can only go up and down. I will use this approach. Pay close attention. This one right here, this angle right here, and this one here, they're vertically opposite. So technically, this whole thing here should be 82 as well, right? If this is 82, this is 82 because it's created by these two lines. So I'm going to take 82 minus 38 to get that. So angle 3, I'm going to do the work here, 82 minus 38. That gets me to 44. 44, right? So that's 44, and I'll just mention something about vertically opposite to 82 degrees. So this is 44 right there. Right? Knowing that these two together have to add up to 82, and that's why I did that here. And then DBA, DBA is this one right here. You should see a triangle there, right? A triangle is formed. So it's going to be 180 minus angle 2 minus angle 3. So it's 180 minus 38 minus angle 3, which is 44. Okay. And to avoid any mistakes, my mental math is off today. That's 98 degrees. So you put 98 and then you just say sum of triangles equal to 180. That justifies what you've done here. So sometimes it's just a justification. Sometimes there's a little bit of math and a justification or the property itself. And now the ADF. So it's A from here, right? ADF. It's this whole thing here. Okay. So here, what I will do is this. I will say that this is corresponding to this. So this is 98 as well, right? I'm just using that. So it's 38 plus 98. And that's 136. And that's all you need to do there. You don't need to state any property or anything like that. Maybe that you've used corresponding. I'll do that, corresponding are congruent. Okay. And I'm going to stop there and let's give you the homework. Homework, page 11, 17, 20 to 21 in booklet. And it's all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to post the answer key to this so you can practice and check right away how you're doing. Okay. After tomorrow, we're going to start polygons. So we're going to talk about pentagons, hexagons, heptagons, all those gons, right? And it's going to be inscribed. Like we're actually going to essentially have this stuff inside a polygon. And it gets interesting from there. Okay. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do.